So today we have a song by Richard Thompson, and Richard Thompson is one of those famous musicians, songwriters that most people don't know. So he began with the influential British group Fairport Convention, which was in the 1960s. It was during the British folk revival period. Is one of the very influential group in that realm, taking folk music from the British past and bringing it forward with new instrumentation, electrifying it, so to speak. In some sense, like Bob Dylan electrified his particular brand of folk music. He started there, wrote songs with that group in the 60s, then went on to a solo career at the beginning of the 70s, and first by himself, and then with his then wife, Linda Thompson. And after they divorced, he went out on his own, and his career continues to this day. He's still out there performing. And if you're interested in his very large and very good catalog of songs that he's written and or performed, you can look him up on the internet, and you'll find a lot. But for this particular one, I started with a song that probably not the first song that people who are fans of Richard Thompson, at least, would start with. I'm going to take the song from the 1994 album, Mirror Blue. And the song that I'm taking is For the Sake of Mary. And the album title is, for that album, Mirror Blue, is from the Alfred Tennyson poem. And sometimes through the mirror blue, the knights came riding two and two. She hath no loyal knight and true, the Lady of Shalott. And that's where he took the mirror blue from. The song on that album, which is probably the most famous song, would be Beeswing. That's probably got the most airplay by far. That's one of the most, I guess, the song he probably always plays in a concert these days. And certainly a favorite of a lot of fans. This song, on the other hand, I think is an interesting song. It's the opening track of that album, and it has a distinctive guitar riff, which is sort of reminiscent of Neil Young's Cinnamon Girl riff. But it has a little bit more complex rhythm going along, and the chords aren't exactly the same for the riff itself. So I've adapted that to the piano, which is a percussive instrument, the piano. And that really brings out the rhythm more than you might hear it on the record recording itself. This is, like I said, this is not the song, Richard Thompson song you would probably likely hear if someone was to ask to make a list. But it turns into something interesting, I think, for me, at least, when you do it on the piano. So I'll start with this one, and down the road, I'll get to more well-known ones, of course. But yeah, like I said, it takes on a different quality a little bit if you listen to the actual recording, which is, of course, guitar oriented. He's a guitar player. And this one, which is, of course, just all piano, takes on a different feel to it, because the rhythm, you hear different parts of the rhythm you wouldn't ordinarily hear, and the way to do it on the piano isn't quite the same, of course, with the guitar and drums and everything else. So it brings out a certain quality to it, which I think is different. Which I think it makes it interesting to do it on the piano. So I'll do that. And like I said, there's lots of Richard Thompson songs. So by all means, if you are any way interested, look him up, because he has written a lot. He's played with a lot of people, written a lot. He generally has albums, has had albums on the top 100 lists, et cetera, even if people didn't listen to them. If people make a list of the greatest guitar players, say the last half of the 20th century, he's usually on that list. In fact, he's usually within the top 5. So he's a significant musician, even if you haven't heard of him. So that being said, so here is Richard Thompson's For the Sake of Mary from 1994. The album was Mirror Blue.
For the sake of Mary, I kick the Reds, junk the Jews, drink coffee instead. Straighten my teeth, bent my back, cut my friends dead from the old rat pack for Mary. She bought me this silk suit, watch and chain. She put the rhythm in me stride again. She showed me the way to make her feel good. If I could do more, I surely would. For Mary, for Mary, for the sake of Mary, I played my hand. She still don't trust me to be her man. I say the right things, but my timing's bad. She thinks I'm like the rest, but I'm the best she's ever had. For the sake of Mary, for the sake of Mary. Well, I was cook first class on the Belfast beat, but when she sailed without me. On needle beats I got my last tattoo in bleeding letters of red and blue. For Mary, for Mary, for the sake of Mary, I changed my drift. Got a good job on the graveyard shift. She set her heart on a pretty little place. I wanna see the tears of joy on her face. Whoa, whoa, for the sake of Mary. For the sake of Mary, I keep the flame. I don't wanna be the villain again. She's had her bad times and it shook her about. I don't wanna take the easy way out, no, no. For the sake of Mary, for the sake of Mary, for the sake of Mary, for the sake of Mary.